Well, good afternoon. It's Longhaultanker with another episode of Straight Razor Shaving with Longhaultanker. And I am in Lake, Mississippi at the Love's Truck Stop in shower room number 6. And it's approximately 5 o'clock, 5:15, pushing 5:30. Had a nice hot shower. And I've got approximately 50 hours, maybe a little more, of whisker growth on my face. We didn't shave last night. You know, that I've said in other videos that for me the ideal interval is about 36 hours. 24, can I do a 24-hour shave? Sure. Different edges create a different finish, you know, and allow the whiskers to grow back faster, greater, whatever. So the difference between synthetic and natural. And so I've got 50 hours and it feels like it. I missed my shave last night, I will say. Anyway, let's get on with the equipment. Bill M over at the shavingcadre.com asked me a question last night about how many soaps I take with me on the road. And I illustrated that in my travel log when I was up in the cab and I was showing the inside of the cab and how I packed my travel bag with the different straight razor shaving equipment that I bring with me. Typically I'm bearing 2 soaps. One is the premier soap that I will be showcasing throughout the week, and the other one is C.O. Bigelow's green tube. C.O. Bigelow is a private label sold by Bath and Body Works. It is made by Parasso, and it says premium shaving soap, shaves cream with eucalyptus oil. And so this is the equivalent of the Parasso green, and that's what I will be using tonight. I've had it soaking in the whole tube, soaking in hot water. Along with my brush I'm going to use is the Vulfix, and I looked up the number on this one, and I believe it is the 2235 with Super Badger bristles. Speaking of Badger, today is T-minus 2 days till I order my Simpson Chubby 3 Manchurian Badger, which you can only get through Simpson's online store. So I'll be ordering that online from Simpson in Great Britain day after tomorrow. Woo! I'm excited about that. Which leads me to another subject I just want to touch briefly on, because I don't want to, you know, controversial stuff has a way of riling the sensibilities of those who would be offended. And that has to do with Badger. This is not so much a question of Badger versus synthetic, but just Badger. I am reasonably confident that those that raise cash crops, cash livestock, are not interested in annihilating their entire stock and inventory. And, you know, people do the best they can with what they got in the countries that they have and the resources that they have. But I'm all in favor of Badger bristled brushes. You know, there's only one way to get rid of a feral hog, and that's to shoot it. And I understand that badgers in China are just as wild and feral, not that the bristles are harvested from feral badgers, but they raise them. They put them down and harvest the bristles. Okay, and all right, that's enough I'll say on that, I promise. Until next time. What is that? So I put a couple of dabs of the soap on my face like that. and a third dab into the brush. It's a little bit bigger than what you see on my face. I shake out most of the water. I want to come at it with a fairly, you know, it's damp, it's been soaking, but I want to shake out the bulk of the water. I can always add water, I can always add soap. Get it worked down, start adding water and building a lather. The one thing I have learned over the years using this, the reason I don't use this so much anymore is that early on I used so much of this that I just got burned out on it. It's a good backup if I want to have a little variety, a little change of pace in the truck. But I don't use it a lot anymore. Now, 3 and 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I was using it every night. But that's when I was starting out and wasn't dedicating as much money to the hobby as I am now. But if I add too much water, this stuff will just turn to soup. I did about 655 miles today. Started rolling at about 5 a.m. up at about 4:15 Eastern time, I will say, and I got an hour back. Going from Eastern time to Central time. Started in Max Meadows, Virginia, ended in Lake Mississippi, about 655 miles approximately. That's working up pretty good. My mirror mount, I got it placed right in the middle of the mirror, below center, and we'll try that tonight. Not to the right, not to the left, right smack dab in the middle. And a little bit on the low side so I can see over it. Our razor tonight is the Filarmonica number 13 Inox, which is stainless steel. The finish is honed on the shafting glass 30,000. It came up all the way through the progression, 1,000, 2,000, 4,000, 8,000, then the jump to 30. I've got a 16,000 that I used to use, but watching the Dr. Matt video on the shafting glass 16,000, he was asked a question, does the 16,000 shafting glass stone leave the edge a little chippy? And his conclusion was, yeah, it might. And so I don't really use it much anymore because of his opinion, and I respect that opinion. All right, let's get started here. Now I can't see anything in the mirror, but we'll keep working with it. Came through Knoxville and Chattanooga today. Those are my two major obstacles. And that's kind of how I measure my days when I'm out and about is what big cities do I have to go through. I'm reminding myself that I said, I believe it was the last video, that I'm going to get home tomorrow, and while I'm home during my home time, I'm going to do not so much a demonstration, just I'm going to lay out my Arkansas stones, my True Hard, my Hard Black, and my Norton Translucent. And my general premise when it comes to the True Hard family of stones, which includes the Hard Black and the Translucent, because they're rated by their specific gravity on the ratings scale at 2.5 plus, and that's where Dan's whetstone places all three of them, that there's no appreciable difference between the three categories. And I know some on the other forums will make a big stinking deal, a little truck driver language there. And I can tell you from at least my experience, honing a razor on a Hard Black, also known as a surgical black, a translucent, or a True Hard, And most people don't know what a true hard is because that's all they've ever heard is the hard black and the translucent. Well, a true hard is anything that measures 2.5 plus on the specific gravity scale and is not a hard black or translucent. It's just that easy. And sometimes the true hards will come in very beautiful colors. I've seen them like a candy stick green, or said otherwise, a candy apple green. I've seen them in a butterscotch, and many of these colors, and specifically the two that I've just referenced that I'm thinking of, were variegated in color. Light, they went from light to dark in their butterscotch and or green coloring. Sometimes they got white mixed in with it, and it looks like a swirl. It's very pretty. The one I have is a, have you ever seen most of the translucents that you see nowadays are this grayish, dingish gray white sort of color. And so the one I've got is that color. It's also solid black, and it's punctuated with white, more snow white swirls in it. And it's really quite pretty in its own way. Now, do I wish it had some additional color? You know, like a nice like a candy apple green or a butterscotch, or, you know, other colors that it might come in. But those are the only colors I've ever seen. Even when I had my tour at Dan's Whetstone, the colors they hadn't mined or discovered. Of course, that goes back almost 3 years ago now, too. Maybe even 4. I don't know if you can hear this fan that's right over my head, but it's drying out the lather. Oh yeah, we're coming along nicely here. Generally during the holidays at work, I don't put myself down for personal vacation days off. There's always a load to go, most of the time, and especially a long load. And most of our drivers at the company prefer the short loads, so somebody's got to take the long loads. And I don't mind doing it. It's just my wife and I, and we can celebrate later as we have in years past. But this year, the long loads, and I'll say probably for the second half of the year, so since July, the long hauls have been a little on the slack side. And so that'll usually result in a full 2 days off, 3 days off, 4 days off. If we were busy and we were hopping, I get in tomorrow, which is Tuesday. I get a call on Wednesday for a load on Thursday. That hasn't been happening much lately. And so I say lately, what I mean is, as I said, for the last 6 months or so. Okay. So for me, that's the end of the first pass. Right and left handed with the grain. So now we'll move to across the grain. And really the primary purpose for the across the grain for me is a good bit of defining the sideburn in these strokes. And the CO Bigelow soap is acting pretty characteristic. It likes to dry up. That's one thing I've noticed, and it's probably because I take so much time on my shaves, is that I've noticed that a lot of my soaps, the Tabac, the Mitchell's Wolfat, the Vanderhagen, now there's a nice inexpensive quality soap that is inexpensive and readily available generally at your Walgreens, CVS. I guess one of those is out of business. I think it's Walgreens. And easy to order from Amazon or wherever you prefer. Again, a bit of a cheating stroke against the grain there. It's only cheating because it didn't fall in line with all of the other against the grain strokes. But that's part of finding your own style, and that's really the thing. Don't let others intimidate you. And you know, when somebody's new and starting off on something like this, they're listening to all the experts, as I did. And from that, I just, whether it's my honing style or my shaving style, I just do my own thing. Oh, there goes that light again. It's right at my elbow on the wall. Oh yes, very nice. Very nice. And a hobby should be fun, right? It should be the kind of thing you splurge your money on. If you're just looking for a cheap shave, you know, okay, there are ways to do that, and there are people who will show you how to do that with a straight razor. I'm not one of them. A man's got to know his limitations. Yeah, I don't get along with stupid either very well. Or another class of people that truck drivers affectionately refer to as dumbasses. Soap's doing nicely. you probably noticed that I use my left hand when it's appropriate to do so. And I'll tell you, it wasn't easy when I started, I'll tell you. And I was not, even though I'm not unskilled with my hands, I've always been, I was in athletics when I was younger, and junior high and high school, little league and that sort of thing. I was not an ambidextrous switch hitter. You know, so using the left hand was something that was foreign to me. But I figured if I was going to undertake the hobby, and this was the recommended way to do it, that's the way I would do it. That's the way I would learn to do it. And I forced myself from the first day to use the left hand. Very important to stretch, especially if you got a turkey neck like I do. Always have your workspace defined, know what you're going to do, where you're going to set your razor down at. I'll keep saying it, keep your razor out of the water. Keep it away from the faucet. The last thing you want, you know, I don't care if it's a $12 gold razor, gold dollar, or if it's a $450 Count Engelbert Boker. Or $1,000. How much would you pay for a Wade & Butcher 9/8 in excellent condition with all of the stampings and markings, still well defined, a wedge? How much would you pay for that? I don't know, but I'm going to go hunting someday. I am going to go hunting. That is on my for show list, for show. I saw the comment on the shavingcadre.com. Somebody was asking, what do you use to stretch your skin? Do you use a cloth or do you use the alum block? Well, there's a third choice. Nothing. Just my hand. Now, the question wasn't directed at me, so I did not reply. I didn't want to be a party pooper. The soap's starting to thin out a little bit. Sometimes you can just tell when you run your razor and the whiskers are cutting. I did a clean sweep under there and it felt like it too. It felt great. I just love that feeling when you're on baby smooth. Be careful with your free hand when you get close to that edge. I've cut myself more times than I care to remember, which is to say about a half a dozen times over the last 6 years. You're focused on something else and your hands get in the way of each other and your free hand is always going to get snagged. Now here's something of interest. Since I'm using a stainless steel blade tonight with the Inox, I've gotten this question many a times over the years, and that is the degree of difficulty of honing a stainless steel razor versus a carbon steel. And because I have, I don't know, 4 or 5 out of my collection, 4, 5, 6, that are stainless steel. I got a J.A. Henkel's Freador. In fact, I got 2 of those. One's a Spanish point, one's a square point, the Spanish point is 7/8. The square point is 6/8. What else have I got? But not to mention the gold dollar. I think I got 1 gold dollar that's stainless steel. But the degree of difficulty in honing a stainless steel versus a carbon steel is negligible. Negligible. Just hone it like you would a carbon. It may take a few extra strokes, but you'll be fine. Did you notice how I pulled away as I was coming up this way? I always catch them, there's just a cross grain that runs through there. Shoot. There we go. Yeah. All right, let's rinse this off and do the little bit of touch-up we got left to do, and edge up the sideburns. Got a couple of weepers there. I always tell my wife, don't judge how the sausage is made, look at it after it's done. I'd say that looks pretty good. Okay, we're going to do a head shave here in a little bit, but we're going to do it off camera. And so we're winding down, nearing the end. I want to thank you for watching. And if an hour is too long for you, you can do like one fella said, Bill. Put it on 1.25 speed. Yeah, that's fine, go ahead. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.